Ivan Pavlov was one of psychology's greatest minds and contributors. In fact, his classical conditioning method is one of the most sought out and studied forms of psychology today. However, did you know that he discovered this method accidentally while studying a completely different field, physiology? Hi, I'm Tyler Bruffett, and today I'm going to talk to you about classical conditioning. Classical conditioning, also known as Pavlovian conditioning, is a learning procedure in which a biologically potent stimulus is corresponding with a previously neutral stimulus. Pavlov's famed conditioning method was established early on in his early years as a physiologist when he was studying the digestive system of other dogs. As part of his work, he began to study what triggers a dog to salivate. It should have been an easy study. After all animals salivate whenever they are presented with the image of food. Therefore, he thought if he presented a dog with food, they would initially salivate. Pavlov took it a step further when he decided to add a neutral stimulus in order to gain a reaction from the dogs he was testing. That neutral response was a buzzer-type device in which the dog had no response for when he heard it. Pavlov would then activate the buzzer and then bring food to the dogs. He would do this repeatedly until the dog began to associate the sound of the buzzer with food being brought to him. This is called an unconditional response. The unconditional response was the dog salivating. Before conditioning began, an unconditioned stimulus would then produce an unconditioned response. This is exemplified during when the dogs would just see the food and just drool innately. It's not taught, it's not learned, it's all natural. Also during the conditioning method, Pavlov would introduce a neutral stimulus, which also formed an unconditioned response since the animal was not used to the sound of a buzzer and therefore had no response for it. However, during conditioning, because the animal began to associate the sound of the buzzer with food, the buzzer then became a conditioned stimulus, and therefore every time the animal heard the sound of the buzzer, he would expect food and begin to salivate. Thus concluding that Pavlov's classical conditioning method was a vital part of psychology and is still a reliable source of science today. Another example of classical conditioning method is an ice cream truck, the song it plays, and a child. Now, the child innately wants ice cream. It's not something it's taught, it's something it just knows. It knows what ice cream tastes like and it wants it. But whenever the child hears the song, which acts as the neutral stimulus without the association of the ice cream truck, the child is just left wonderless. Like, why is the song being played? So, during conditioning, when the song is paired up with the ice cream truck, it creates an unconditioned response from the child, which is him expecting ice cream, him or her. And after conditioning, the conditioned stimulus is the ice cream truck song being associated with the truck, so that the conditioned response is the child associating the song and the truck together and knowing that when they hear the song, they're going to get ice cream.